Hello everyone. This is a spontaneous live stream. I thought I wasn't going to live stream today because I just hosted my first ever webinar on leaning into lightness, which was lots of fun. The replay will shortly be available. The recording is converting at the moment, and I thought, since I had said in the Discord server that today's drawing was going to be of Patti Smith, and then realized we didn't get around to drawing all the references, and we didn't actually draw Patti Smith in the webinar. So I thought, while I'm waiting for the recording to convert, hey Kiki, while I'm waiting for that recording to get ready, and I've got to leave the computer on before going to bed so the recording can wind up, then why not just come and live stream the drawing of Patti Smith, which we didn't get around to doing in the webinar. Hi Louisa, thank you for joining me so spontaneously. There are 4 people here in this unannounced live stream. That's so nice. The other 2, you can also say hello in the chat. Let me know who's here. So I'm going to keep this pretty brief, and that has been the essence of what we were doing in the webinar. And I can show you the drawings that we did. This one was a blind drawing. And we actually started with, I don't know what happened to my eggheads. The first drawing was even more basic, but this was the blind drawing from reference, and then there was a non-dominant blind drawing of a very hairy face. That was very interesting. Then we did an upside down drawing. And the whole point of all of these was looking for practices to reinvigorate your drawing, a light-hearted approach to drawing which doesn't have to be perfect and gets you really attuned to looking at what you're drawing rather than putting the emphasis on the outcome of what is being made. And then this was super fun. We did this, you may be familiar with this vase, shisha kind of thing, and then we did 2 5-minute portraits, so drawing from the reference, and then trying to, with the drawing as the reference, mirroring that. That was super interesting and challenging, and I like the look because they look similar, but they kind of look like distinctly different as well, and they're leaning in close, and this was a really fun exercise. And then wrapped it up with this one, which I started with like a 2-minute blind drawing in green, and spent a further 8 minutes rendering the blind drawing. And when I finished the blind drawing and realized that I thought this eye wasn't even there, but it was, but how misaligned I had drawn this in the blind drawing. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do with this? But now I actually really like the result. Super interesting, just with that initial energy of a drawing which can't be perfect, a blind drawing, no less. And then having that blind lack of control and then doing some controlled drawing and rendering into it was a really exciting exercise. So those are the things we just did in the webinar. And I also talked about the mentorship, which is starting this week. There's a replay. So if you weren't at the webinar, but you're interested in the replay and drawing along with those exercises, the replay will be available for the next 3 days. So get in touch with me and you may still be able to catch the replay. And now I'm going to draw Patti Smith, who didn't get around to drawing in the webinar. Ike and Jessica and Ingrid are here. Excellent. Thank you all for being here so spontaneously. You are wonderful. Let's draw Patti Smith today. So in case you've somehow landed here for the first time and not yet aware that every day I am sharing, I want a timer this time. This week I want to do timed drawings. So I'm going to set a 6-minute timer, and it may be 6 plus 6, it may end up just being 10, but I would like to come back to doing really accessible practice drawings where you don't need to have an hour. The idea of just doing really brief practice every day is so beneficial, that we can just learn so much. Just the cumulative practice of brief sketching every day is super beneficial. Shannon is here too. Jessica, that's right, no glasses today. I feel we have pushed through the glasses barrier, and we've come out the other side. Interestingly, it was not intentional, but I selected 8 references, which we didn't get around to drawing all of in the webinar. And I think it was Cassidy, when I shared them, she was like, "What, no glasses?" And after all of the glasses we've drawn, it was funny that I didn't even notice I didn't choose reference with glasses. I saw on Patti Smith's Instagram, she has a lovely photo with David Lynch. I just saw that today, and it's just like, oh wow, like everyone's connected to David Lynch. I'm probably not going to do too much with the hair, but I'm going to do a bit with the hair. I've made the head really long. That's alright. I expect in the super quick drawings there'll be some interesting results, less accuracy, and I also felt like I really wanted to fill the entire height of the page, at least for this drawing. I don't know if the whole spread will be like it. I'm on my pencil spread after wrapping up my ink spread. In the sketchbook so far, I've been alternating between ink spreads and pencil spreads. Very nice webinar. Thank you, Shannon. And Kiki, that you both, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a really interestingly different format to other things that I've done. And I didn't have the immediate vocal feedback that I usually do, as a kind of resonance gauge of how everyone's doing, but there were a lot of people there and they stuck around, so it must have been pretty engaging. Yeah, and I feel like the emphasis, the focus of the webinar on leaning into lightness, of inviting and integrating a playful element into our practice where it's beneficial in the way we're still really training our perception and how we see, but there's no big stakes at play. There's no expectation of it being great. That can be a very beneficial and relaxing shift to make, to think this does not have to look like anyone, this doesn't have to be anything, this is just a fun practice drawing. And even though it's like low, the bar is low, I feel like it can still be really, really beneficial to do those kind of things. And something I wish I had mentioned, I know I have mentioned in other live streams, I've had pieces I've been working on where I've been really stuck. And I'm getting bogged down in the process and things aren't working. And I remember once there was something I was working on and I was like, wow, this is just, I'm not figuring it out. It was an illustration commission that I had. And I was like, oh, just to just to loosen up a bit, I'm going to do some time portrait sketches. And I wasn't working, in the illustration it wasn't portraits. But I was just not happy with how the whole thing was working out that I was drawing. I was like, I'm just going to do some time portrait sketches to change gear. And then I did a few, I think from a mix from Sketchy and Kanyo. I did a few timed portraits. And just like 5 minutes or 6 minutes or something. And then I came back to the problem at hand that I needed to step away from. And then I reassessed my whole view of what I was working on. I was like, wait a minute, maybe this could be solved differently. Maybe I've been pushing something that needs to be totally different. And maybe, and something I noticed that when I do these time sketches, that sometimes like, oh wow, I'm more excited about this 5-minute drawing than I am of that thing that I've been spending 3 hours on. And how can I bring some of the energy and excitement of this brief experience into this bigger thing, which is supposed to be serious and important. And it really got me, to rethink that and to be like, oh, maybe if I'm more excited about this, maybe the bigger thing should also be more like this, have this brief kind of energy and spontaneity. And that was a really interesting experience working on this one commission. And I just totally re-changed my whole concept for it. And I feel like if you're in the middle of a process of something which is more in-depth and more detailed, and maybe something is not flowing, it can just be cool just to stretch, go for a walk, move, drink, but also just to do something different, just to step away from it, do something quick with different expectations, just we're coming into, this is like 7 minutes now I've been working on this for your information. And just by changing things like that, it can bring a fresh, new wind to whatever it is that you're working on. It was fun to play with no expectations, says Kiki. Found the mirror drawing very difficult. That was tricky. Trying to mirror the marks that you've made, that was a very interesting kind of brain exercise. What? Someone's trying to call me. I don't know who it is. So I don't think I'm going to answer. And I'm live streaming. The video is now 82% processed. The Zoom replay of the webinar. So the replay will be up for 3 days for anyone interested in watching and drawing along with our leaning into lightness. So we're coming up for about 10 minutes. I have been saying a lot that even if it's just 5 minutes a day, it's worth just doing a quick sketch as practice. So I wonder if maybe doing a 5-minute drawing live streams just seems like a very short live stream. But doing 10-minute portraits is a classic. on this channel. Alright, that was 10 minutes. So, fairly brief, loose, sketchy, but primed after just spending the past hour and a half doing lots of sketches, and a spontaneous stream. And I'm so glad that so many of you made it here for an unplanned event. It seems like 5 minutes of fun. Alright, maybe we'll have some 5-minute drawing live streams and see how they go. Is that something, how many of you would be interested in me committing to sticking to the 5-minute time limit? Is that something you feel like, yeah, that would be good, let's do 5-minute portrait live streams? Or would it be like 5 minutes and then some? I would keep drawing if you stopped after 5 minutes. Don't know. That's interesting. That was your first ringtone for when Matt called. I don't even know. That's not my ringtone. That was the sound that was coming through my headphones because it was coming through the computer and not through my phone. And I don't know who it was who was trying to call me. And I was confused. Not someone from this country. Always a bit wary when people from other countries are trying to call me. Yeah, so 5 minutes will be nice. Each to their own. So maybe we'll do some 5-minute portrait streams. That could be interesting. Thank you all for being here. I hope you all sleep blissfully and see you again tomorrow. Join the Discord server. The link is in the description to get the daily reference and to share your work. And you can tag me and Patty Smith. This is Patty Smith on Instagram. I would definitely love to see your work, and maybe Patty will see it as well.